Hey mamas, I'm Brooke Miller, registered dietitian, certified lactation counselor, and a mama who has helped hundreds of moms feel like themselves again after baby, boost their energy, mood, metabolism, and even milk supply. Inside of the Postpartum Shift podcast, you'll learn how to take care of your health so that you can show up best for the ones you care about most. Each week, we'll tackle topics like nutrition, exercise, breastfeeding, mental health, and so much more. Plus, you'll get access to guest experts who will share ways to make your pregnancy and postpartum experience easier. Whether you're approaching the postpartum period or you're right in the thick of it, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Brooke here from the Postpartum Shift podcast and
Melissa Vasikaus is here from the Embodied Nourishment podcast.
We are doing a double dose today, and we are in person here in Denver, which is super exciting. I am really pregnant right now, so if I'm out of breath at any point, I'm not like running up the stairs working out. The baby is just like sitting very high right now, and I can't breathe very well, so that's it. I'm not this out of shape, I promise.
You sound great. You're fine.
Thank you. We've been talking a lot, like just personally. So we're friends, you know, if you can't tell. And we've been talking a lot personally just over the last year of how our businesses and how our beliefs have really evolved over time when it comes to things like diet culture and intuitive eating and health at every size and weight loss and where we stand on a lot of these things. And I think that we've both come to this agreement that there has been like a very strong pendulum shift in both directions, you know, and yeah, I don't know, you want to take it away?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, and I think I want to preface this by saying that I definitely 100% believe in the intuitive eating philosophies, the food freedom, the anti-diet culture notions and all of that, but I think that there has just been such, like Brooke said, such pendulum shifts that have swung so far in each direction that there's like little to no room for nuance. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really time in the dietitian world, like it's really up to us to start bringing nuance to these conversations because there is so much nuance. And I feel like people who are looking for help, who are looking to develop a healthy relationship with food and to get healthier and achieve whatever goals it is that they have for themselves and their lives, it's almost getting like just as confusing as maybe diet culture has always been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've had a lot of women come work with me over the past few years and they're like, I feel guilt or shame about wanting to lose weight. And a lot of the guilt and shame is coming from them following other dietitians in the industry who are saying it's bad if you want to lose weight. If you are pursuing weight loss, you are racist, you are fat phobic, you are all of these things. And so we've both had just women come to us feeling just immense guilt and shame with the fact that they're uncomfortable in their body and they want to change something. And then they feel like they don't even have the right to change something. They feel like completely shameful of the fact that they're not happy in their body. And they're hearing all these mixed messages like, love your body, love every inch of your body. You know, this movement of embracing your body. While there's like some things there that we both agree with, and we should be treating our bodies with respect and we should be making healthy changes from a place of really honoring our health and nourishing our bodies and taking care of our bodies versus bullying and punishing our bodies. But that's where we've seen so many women come to us just feeling very confused. And they feel like nobody is there to help them because a lot of women have come to us and said, I feel like I have two options here. I feel like I have to go with a dietitian who is extremely like, we are not going to touch weight loss with a 10-foot pole. Don't even think about it. You're bad if you want that. But we can work on healing your relationship with food or body. Or they go to a dietitian who is maybe a little bit more extreme, or even a bro fitness instructor who's like, just eat 1,000 calories a day. It's not bad. Go on this juice cleanse, you know, do something really unsustainable. And there's so many women who are like, I don't want either of these things. Like, I want to feel good in my body. I want to feel healthy. Mm-hmm. I want to make changes with my health. And I don't want to feel guilty about it. And that's really where Melissa and I stand. And these are the women that we love helping the most, are these women who don't want to be on either side of that.
Absolutely. And, it's so interesting because as I kind of started to speak out a little bit more and more about the extremities of the like intuitive eating space on social media, I've had some women reach out to me and say, I really want to find intuitive eating. I really want to find a healthy relationship with food. But it was really nice to hear you say that it's okay that I want to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And I just sat there and it kind of... it almost even brought me back to like my days at college, like going to school to be a dietitian. Like this is the reason why we went to be dietitians in the first place. Not necessarily to help people lose weight,
right,
but to help them reach their goals, whatever they want, whatever those goals are, in a way that is best for them, not adhering to any single one kind of extreme. And I think, after graduating, doing your internship, working a little bit clinically, like in the system, you practice a certain way that the system wants you to practice, and then becoming entrepreneurs, it's like stepping into this space where we have this freedom to practice the way that we want, but then enter the world of social media, and it's like it's almost as if social media has become its own system.
Yes,
that
totally
is now dictating how dietitians should be practicing. And like the whole reason why we became entrepreneurs to begin with is to not be adhering to anybody's policing rules at all. And you know what? Like that also, it's symbolic too, because when it comes to healing your relationship with food and finding that body autonomy and finding that food freedom, that's also about that too. It's about not listening to anybody else and finding what works for you. So I think, like, admittedly, we can maybe say that we got caught up in that world of extremism.
Yeah.
And we're just like deconditioning and slowly crawling our way out of it. Or quickly. I don't know. I kind of just
quickly.
I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I am done. Like I'm done with these
catering
made up rules.
To people.
Yeah.
Catering to strangers. Well, and I think it was so easy. I mean, I don't know. I think we started our businesses around the same time, 2020.
Yeah.
It was around 2020. You and I had met on Instagram. Like, so we've known each other for 4 years already. And we were both kind of in this space of we both worked at WIC. Like, we were like doing the same type of career at this point, or like we both had experience with that background. And we both knew like we wanted to run our own business, and there's so many principles of intuitive eating I still agree with.
Of course.
Like, I look at the 10 principles, and if I'm just looking at the principles themselves, I'm like, yeah, I still wholeheartedly agree with all 10 of the principles. Like, there's none of that I disagree with right now. However, what ended up happening in 2020 was it started to become this thing on social media. If you are saying you're an intuitive eating dietitian, if you are teaching anything related to intuitive eating, not only do you have to teach in this way, which you and I still agree with, a lot of the principles, but you also have to speak out about this, X, Y, Z. You have to vote this way. If you don't speak up about this political issue in this way, you're getting canceled. If you don't speak out about this in this way, then you're X, Y, Z. And it became this like finger pointing thing of you are not allowed to talk about this, and it doesn't matter that it's your own business. You are not allowed to talk about this, and you're not allowed to talk about weight loss. You're not allowed to talk about this. And if you do any of these things, you are shunned. You are publicly shunned. And it is really interesting because I think I was really scared of that. I grew up as a people pleaser. I don't think that you're like that, right? I grew up as a people pleaser. And so this was something really difficult for me because in 2020, you know, I'm like leaving my clinical job. I'm taking on all these clients, and I wanted my business to succeed, and I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to help people. And what I ended up finding was when I showed up on social media, I showed up very filtered. I showed up in a way where I was repeating what other people were saying.
Yes.
Because I was scared that I was going to get canceled for talking about my true beliefs when it comes to health and fitness and weight. And it sounds crazy, but people look at nutrition like religion and like politics. People get as upset about nutrition as they do about politics and religion. It is wild. It is wild. They're like all intertwined. And it's really interesting because if I was an accountant and I had an accountant social media page, and I was like talking about accounting, like people probably wouldn't get so passionate about it. But when you're talking about nutrition, people get so passionate, like other people in our field. And anyway. And so I found myself, and I'm sure you did too, like getting caught up in like, I don't want to get canceled and I don't want my business to fall apart. And I was finding that instead of focusing on helping the people I wanted to help, I was more focused on pleasing my colleagues that I've never even freaking met before. I was more focused about pleasing other dietitians on the internet who are not even people I know.
And who will never work with
and
you.
And who will never pay me for my services or work with me in any sort of capacity. I was so concerned about what they thought about me that it was filtering how I was talking to clients and who I was attracting for clients. And I finally hit this point, it was like last year, I would say, and you too, where we were both like, this is BS. Like, I want to talk to who I want to talk to, and I want to help who I want to help in the way that I want to help. And I want them to hear a message in a way that they feel heard and validated. And when we were in this movement together years ago, we even, like Melissa and I even got coached by somebody, and it was very much like, you need to be talking about politics and this and this and this and all of these things with your clients. And you need to be showing up on social media talking about all these injustices and this. And at one point I was like, I don't know that my clients are going to benefit from me telling them, hey, if you feel uncomfortable in your body or if you have a desire to lose weight, you're racist, you're fat phobic, and you're all these things. I was like, I don't think that's going to help a mom who just had a baby and feels uncomfortable in her body.
Right.
Like,
and I don't think it's true either.
And no, I don't think it's true. And I don't think that making her feel shameful that she feels uncomfortable in her body is benefiting her.
No, it's not benefiting anybody. I mean, the reason why people feel uncomfortable in their bodies and why they have, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time when they have a strong desire to lose weight and they are experiencing discomfort, it's because of the shame that they feel because of the thoughts and beliefs that they have around their body. And telling somebody that they're like racist and fat phobic and et cetera, whatever else on top of it, it's like, okay, so now you're just like compounding the shame on top of it. So now they feel like they just can't talk about it.
Right.
So sure, maybe like you're silencing these people, but that doesn't mean that their pain is going away or that they're even healing from the injustices that do exist, because don't get us wrong, injustices exist. You know, we live in a world that is not kind and really does not accept people in larger bodies, and that is a problem. For sure. Right? But like telling somebody that they're wrong for trying to find acceptance in a way that makes sense for themselves in their life and their body, I'm not so sure that's fighting the injustice or helping those people.
Exactly. And for sure, like, there are 100% injustices. Like, if you are listening to this and you live in a larger body, I can guarantee that you have been mistreated at some point in your life by somebody because of your weight. And that is not okay. It is not fair. And yeah, it's not okay. And it does exist. There 100% are injustices for people based on their size, based on their age, based on their color of their skin. Like, we live in a world that is very judgmental. Like, we are not saying that these things don't exist. The problem that Melissa and I have had throughout this journey is, how do we speak to our clients and how do we speak to the women who we want to help in a way that's most helpful for them? And having these conversations or pointing fingers at them and how they're supposed to feel at the place where these women are at is not helpful. And that's the problem that we were running into.
Right. It's not helpful. And also I want to add a little bit of like nuance here and extend a little bit of an olive branch and say that, you know, the world is not changing overnight. So if you are seeking out a way to lose weight because you just want to feel like life is easier for you, you have the autonomy and the right to do that. And there's different ways that you can go about it. You know, okay, so I don't think it's black and white. I think it's, okay, let's assess the relationship with food first and foremost. You know, maybe your relationship with food, quite frankly, is leading to you in some ways being in a larger body.
Mm-hmm.
And there could potentially be ways when healing your relationship with food, changing your mindset, thinking about the long haul instead of the short term, maybe your body might change. It might not, right? Like, we don't want to sit here and guarantee anything. And in that case, the work of healing body image happens simultaneously. It's
Mm-hmm.
not either or. It's not I have to pick one or the other. It's the path forward to actual food freedom, intuitive eating, and feeling healthier is assessing the relationship with food, working on the relationship with food, while also working on body image. You can be pursuing weight loss while also working on body image. Those things are not mutually exclusive.
Right. And if you're like listening to this, you may have heard that you can't do both. And you've probably heard that you can't do both. And I think that's where I was feeling really unaligned, like working with people previously, because it was like women would come and say, okay, I really do want to feel comfortable in my body. I do want to heal my body image. I do want to pass on a healthy relationship with food and body to my kids because I didn't have that from my mom growing up. And I'm on board for that. But I also know that my body is not at its healthiest weight. And I also know that me, eating chips on the couch until 10 p.m. and not exercising doesn't feel good for my body, right? And so I want to do both. And so we are just validating that, like, it is okay to do both. And I actually recommend working on both. Like, even if you are listening to this and you're like, I have a goal to lose 10 pounds. Great, that's awesome. Let's look at what are the healthy and sustainable things that you can add in to your day that will help you get there. But also, if you do have an unhealthy relationship with food and body and you don't address that, you're going to lose the 10 pounds and you're not going to feel any better in your body. And so that's the thing, is I think a lot of us think if I just lose the weight, then I'll feel good in my body. And that doesn't necessarily happen. Now, if you already have a really healthy relationship with food in your body and you do lose weight, you are probably going to feel that way. But for a lot of women, they are wanting both, but they're not working on both. Like, a lot of women are either only pursuing weight loss or they're only pursuing healing their body image, and they're not looking at both factors. And again, you don't have to be wanting to lose weight also. Like, you could just be wanting to maintain your weight. Or some women come to me especially and they're like, I'm underweight and I'm trying to gain weight. I'm trying to gain muscle and I'm trying to gain strength and get more toned and all of these things. So you might, have the desire to gain muscle and gain strength and gain weight too. And so whatever your weight or overall health goal is, just know that if you're doing that and you haven't healed your relationship with food and body, you're not going to probably get the outcome you want, or vice versa. If you just completely ignore your healthy habits, completely ignore what your body needs, completely ignore nourishing your body, and you only focus on the mindset stuff, you probably will start to feel better in your body, but you won't necessarily feel physically better in your body.
Yes. And I think I'm going to add something. So for people who are listening to this from Brooke's podcast, just a little warning. I'm a little bit spicier than Brooke. So I'm just going to, I keep it real.
She's zero filter. Zero F's given.
No, zero F's given. I mean, just going back really quick before I come back forward, when Brooke was saying, we were kind of afraid to kind of come out and speak our mind for fear of what colleagues might think. And that was true, but once I realized that was it, I was like, oh, I'm done. I don't live my life in a way where other people's thoughts and opinions
are going to dictate my life.
How I show up.
And my business.
Exactly.
My life.
My life. My business is my life.
Right.
So once my own brain made that realization, I was like, I'm done. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Spitfire time. Okay, but anyway, fast forwarding to what we were just talking about. Another thing too is that if your body has changed, let's just say, let's stick with, you gained a whole bunch of weight recently, let's say. And
right now, 35 weeks pregnant.
Well, you're pregnant. That's different. But, if your body has changed significantly in a short period of time, or a relatively short period of time, and you're sitting there saying, I just don't feel like myself. This is not my body. I don't feel comfortable. And I know I'm engaging in these unhealthy behaviors, I'm binging and restricting, or I'm zoning out, I'm emotionally eating. I never used to do these things. And you just know, this is not me. I don't feel good. I want to get back to feeling better how I was. Mm-hmm. I believe you. You know, like I think that you're in your body. I'm not in your body. You are in your body. Mm-hmm. So for other professionals that like eating disorder or self-proclaimed eating disorder dietitians and therapists to sit there and tell you like, oh, you just have to grieve, mm-hmm. or you just have, you know, you're just missing your old body and it's just fat phobic of you to feel uncomfortable. No, I'm sorry, but that is a bunch of crap. Can we curse on this podcast? I don't know.
Sure.
A bunch of bullshit. I don't know, but
why not?
Yeah. I'm like, how can you sit there and tell somebody who's like, you don't live in their body, they live in their body, right? And it's ironic too, because the whole philosophy of like food freedom and intuitive eating is about body autonomy. So mm-hmm. for a professional to sit there and tell you, oh, like your body changed and you don't like it, well, that's kind of fat phobic of you, is mm-hmm. antithetical to body autonomy and self-sovereignty.
Right. And again, like we believe if you have a desire to lose weight or gain weight or maintain your weight, you absolutely can do that. Like, you know, there's things in my body that I'm uncomfortable with. I shared just on a podcast that just came out, like I have spider veins and varicose veins. They make me feel really uncomfortable wearing shorts. And so I've gotten surgeries on both legs. I still have more procedures to do on my veins. And some people could look at that and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would do a cosmetic procedure. That's so terrible of you.
It's your body.
But it's my body, and I feel comfortable doing that. Like if I wanted a nose job or a boob job, I mean, I'm actually really scared of a lot of these things because I don't want to like go under surgery ever. Like
I won't even do lip injections.
Yeah, I'm too scared. Needles. I know. I'm like
the
thought of Botox. I'm like, I'm too scared.
No,
I'm too scared. No. Okay, so like I'm a baby, and that's like a big reason why I haven't done a lot of different things. But if you want to get Botox, if you want to do this, it's like it's only impacting your body at this point, right? And if it makes you feel better to do those things, then do those things. But, you know, you also have to keep in mind that just because we change something on our outer appearance, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to correlate with us feeling better in our bodies. If you've been wanting to reach your healthiest weight and feel like yourself again postpartum without having to sacrifice your favorite foods or your milk supply, I've got a free workshop just for you. Inside of this free workshop, you'll discover how to boost energy, mood, metabolism, and even protect your milk supply. You'll learn common mistakes that moms make that actually cause exhaustion, mood swings, low milk supply, and weight loss resistance to become worse, things that moms don't even realize. And you'll learn the proven 3-step method to heal your hormones and metabolism after baby so you can go from surviving to thriving postpartum. Plus, as a free gift, you'll get my postpartum snack guide when you come hang out with us. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes to save your seat today. Spots are limited. See you there. And so we just have to look at both of these two factors and really find that balance of what do I think my body needs to feel its best physically and mentally? And then what can I do to support it in a sustainable way? And you and I are very much on the same page of like, let's add in healthy habits, but let's do things that are really sustainable, that you're not going to fall off the wagon again in 2 months from now. Because if you're trying to eat like a 1,200 calorie a day diet, you're not going to be able to sustain that long term. And it's not going to feel good for your body. And you might lose weight initially, but you're slowing down your metabolism and you're likely going to store fat. And you're likely going to be in a worse place than when you started. And so we just have to keep that in mind, that it's okay if you want to change the appearance of your body. Like, it's okay. There is no shame. But you also want to make sure that if you are making changes, that you're not doing it to please anybody else. Mm-hmm. Like, I've talked to so many women who they're actually okay in their body, but like maybe their spouse is giving them a hard time, or their mom is giving them a hard time about gaining weight. And if you're just, making changes to please your spouse or your mom or your friend group or whatever, that's also not a place you want to be. You want to make sure that any changes that you're making, you're really doing it for you. And of course, it's like a great ripple effect if you want to make a change so that it, down the line impacts your kids. I think that's a really amazing thing. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, am I making this change because I want to do it? Is it something that will help me feel better in my body? And have I really looked at my relationship with food and body? And how does that look? Because again, what we don't want to see is somebody go through all these changes and feel better physically. I have better energy and I've reached my healthiest weight and all these things have happened, but I still feel gross in my body or still don't feel good in my body. Like that's where we don't want you to get, you know?
Right. And I think this is a good place to insert even more nuance, right? Like you just described it so wonderfully, but adding even a little bit more nuance here, you know, there could be some things within your control. There could be some behavior changes, some long-term sustainable healthy habits that you can adopt that can lead to weight loss, for example. But also, we also have to hold space for the fact that bodies do change. And maybe the body that you're in at 35, 40, 45, 50 years old is not going to be the body that you were in at 22 years old.
Right.
You might be able to lose like some of the weight that from where you are right now, but it's probably not going to be your 22-year-old weight. So there may be some like grief and there may be some like making acceptance and peace with the fact that there is a certain body size that probably is just not within reach anymore.
Yeah.
At least not at like at what cost, right?
At a sustainable, healthy level.
At a sustainable cost.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can get the 22-year-old body if you like induced a severe eating disorder, right? But like you have to decide, is that worth it?
Yeah.
Right? So there's maybe some room for change. And so it's both end, right? It's accepting that your body might just be different than where you think it should be or where you quote unquote ideally want it to be. But that doesn't mean that there's no room for change that you can't experience or strive for or be happy with.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think this whole movement has just swung, and I think it's just confused people. I think that so many women have come to us confused over the last few years of like, I want to feel this way and I don't know how to get there because I'm hearing mixed messages. I'm hearing I need to just love my body and accept where I'm at. And I'm also hearing like lose 20 pounds in 20 days. Like they're getting like all these mixed messages. And I think so many women are confused about what to do. And that's like, these are the women that we like to help the most, are the women who are ready to find that balance. And truthfully, if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, I'm going to get triggered if people talk about weight in the community or whatever, I tell them like, hey, this is not a place for you. Here are some dietitians I would recommend you go to. And like, I turn people away. Like if you are not a good fit, like I want you to find the person that is a good fit for you. If you come to me and you're like, I have been on Weight Watchers my whole life and all I want to do is count every point for the rest of my life and I want to track every single food for the rest of my life, can you help me? I would say I'm probably not the dietitian for you. Like there is some tracking in my program initially. I do have a lot of women, you know, calculate their protein needs and track their protein and fiber for a week or two just to make sure they're in their ballpark ranges. And then once they are, then they can wean away from tracking. So
we should talk about that too.
Yes.
Because I think in the yes. like eating disorder, intuitive eating, food freedom spaces, I'm finding that ironically, as they self-proclaim themselves to be like food freedom activists that are free of food rules, all of a sudden there's quite a lot of rules about what's disordered and what's not.
Right.
And I'm finding that like everything in their opinion is disordered. Like any kind of attention to calories or measurements or portion sizes, everything. I just keep hearing like, that's disordered, that's disordered, that's disordered. First of all, what I think is that somebody, an individual can decide for themselves what's disordered or not. For them.
Right. Because I could go in MyFitnessPal and track my food for a week.
Same.
And I will have zero guilt about it. No shame.
Wouldn't care at all.
I would say it's data. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Right.
That's an interesting data. Oh, I didn't hit my protein needs today. Wonder why. I would have zero guilt or shame. But somebody else could track and they could immediately go into a spiral.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's so individualized. So to tell somebody that if they track their calories or their protein or whatever, that it's automatically disordered is crazy.
It's crazy. And we're going to get kickback from that because crazy is not a politically correct term, but that's okay. Yeah, right.
Okay. And something else, actually I got this message. I did a reel, gosh, this was a while ago. This was probably during my transition of not giving an F anymore about what other colleagues had to say about me. And it's funny because then I grew. It was like, once I stopped caring about what other people thought about me, it was like, oh, boom, business grew. Like, social media grew. Like, everything grows, right? Because you're speaking unfiltered. So I got this DM, and it was from a girl, and it was something along the lines of, I was eating a salad, and it was talking about the importance of focusing on what to add in to your diet, especially postpartum, so that you're meeting your nutrient needs. And she said, hey, love your message, like, love your copy, but I really hate that you're eating a salad in your video. And she said, you're promoting disordered eating and diets because you're a dietitian eating a salad. And you should have been eating a cupcake or a donut while telling moms. Yes, literally. So she's not only telling me how to run my business.
She's telling you how to eat.
She's telling me how to eat. She's like telling me that as a dietitian, I should never eat a salad. And I was like, and I literally said, I responded with, I like salads. They taste good.
We just had salads before
we just ate some salads. Like, it's hot out. It's like 100 degrees. Like, I want a nice cold crunchy salad. And I was like, excuse me? Like, you are just some random person coming on my page telling me that I am disordered and now teaching, like, I'm like spreading disordered, like, messaging because I eat a salad. I'm like,
that's how it feels right now in the online space.
Well, I've gotten away from a lot of people. I've unfollowed and like,
that's good.
I was like,
that's good.
I don't feel like I feel that anymore because I have distanced myself from anybody who is judgmental, I guess.
But you want to know something? And I'm going to get a little spicy again right now. I think
spicy.
Well, this is what it is. I think a lot of these quote unquote providers are honestly still struggling with their own eating disorders. I think that they're not healed and they are projecting onto everybody else. Yeah. Because you know what? At the end of the day, our roles as dietitians is to guide people's food decisions. Mm-hmm. That's literally our job, is to provide guidelines. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be hard and fast and calculations and measurements, but shoot for 30 grams of fiber a day, shoot for 90 grams of protein, whatever it is. That's our role. Our role is to help support people get there. We went to school for this.
4+ years in school for this.
We went to school for this. So when there is a quote unquote provider who says something like, oh, you're eating a salad that's disordered, or you're telling somebody to shoot for a certain protein recommendation, that's restriction, that's disordered. I sit there and I'm like, you know what? That sounds like your disorder. Mm-hmm. It sounds like there's something in your brain that you haven't figured out yet. That if I say to a client, shoot for between 90 to 100 grams of protein, that's about probably what you need. Mm-hmm. Let's try it for a few weeks, see how you feel. And you freak out and say that's restriction. That's so disordered to say that. They should just be listening to their body, trusting their body. Well, guess what? I think you still have an eating disorder.
Well, and so many people are out of tune with their bodies. Like when you are going, when you've gone on restrictive diet after restrictive diet, like you're very out of touch with your hunger and fullness cues. Yes. Those hormones are messed up. And so why I love providing guidelines, especially to my students, is like, hey, let's build your plate in this way. Let's eat this way. Here's how to calculate your protein needs. Here's how to make sure that you're getting your protein needs. Do this for a week or so, track for a week or so, see how you feel. Mm-hmm. Because then it gives your body some sustainability, right? When you're just like eating off schedule and some days you're eating 30 grams of protein in a day and some days you're eating 100 grams, like you can't really assess well what's working for you. And so we provide guidelines to our students, and again, they're like unique. A guideline I would give to a 3-month breastfeeding mom is going to be different than guidelines that I give to a mom who's 2 years postpartum and like has weaned, right? So they are individualized, but giving that consistency in those guidelines really helps women start to understand how their body is functioning. It starts to regulate their hormones and their metabolism so that it's actually easier to listen to your body. And it's funny because like for years you and I have been talking, and it's like it's really funny because in the intuitive eating book and the principles, gentle nutrition is number 10. And so a lot of intuitive eating dietitians will say, we can't even discuss nutrition until the end. We can't discuss or talk about nutrition until you've done X, Y, Z. You've done these 9 things. And it's interesting because you and I, always with our one-on-one clients, nutrition was like one of the first things we talked about because you and I knew, hey, if I have a client who is not eating consistently, they're not hitting their protein goals, they're not, eating on a consistent pattern, we know like they're gonna feel like garbage, but also like they are going to have a hard time exercising if they're not fueling their body, right? Like they're going to have a hard time tuning into their hunger and fullness cues.
Right.
If they're, binging on a bag of chips at night. And so you and I were always like that of like, okay, the first thing we do is we get our, our students and clients on a consistent meal pattern. We talk about blood sugar balance. We talk about all these things. And then once they start getting that consistency in, then it's way easier to tune into hunger and fullness, way easier to exercise, way easier to do all these other things. And so it is funny because even in that sense, you and I were like under the radar, hiding and like talking to our clients differently because it's like I wouldn't have said that on social media 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because people would have said, you're wrong. You shouldn't be counseling clients in this way.
Right.
Like.
What's funny though? I've had so many clients come to me who have said to me, I've worked with an intuitive eating coach, dietitian or whatever, and they were very unhelpful. And I stopped there after a few sessions, and I would ask, why was it unhelpful? And basically what we're talking about, like there was no guidelines given at all. It was always these conversations about, we're not going to feel guilty. All foods fit. Eat whatever you want. Listen to your body. And like, yeah, all of that sounds great idealistically, but how do I get there? How do I get there? Well, you get there by starting with some structure. Some structure and intuitive eating are not antithetical. Even like I would consider myself completely in tune with my body.
Yeah, same.
But there's still structure to my day. Like if I don't have 60 grams of animal protein by noon, I feel like crap.
Yeah, same.
So like that is what I have discovered about my body. So I have structured my days to include lots of animal protein before noon. Maybe that's not your story. Maybe that's not your body. But that's my body, that's my story. So I have created structure in my life to achieve that. So it's both. It's not either or, it's both. I also, for a second, just to offer some illustration, I'll give an anecdote. So I do have a few clients that I work with more severe eating disorders. A lot of them are younger, they're teenagers. I only have a few cases like this because they are very complex, but I just want to explain that in my severe eating disorder cases, I give them meal plans with calories and measurements, and the instructions for them are to measure out their food and count their calories, whatever it is that our plan comes up with. Because when somebody is struggling with an eating disorder that's very severe, let's say they're restricting very, very severely for a long period of time, it is so unhelpful, completely useless, and even in a lot of ways can be harmful if I were to just sit there and say, oh, just eat more and trust your body. Oh, just eat more, listen to your body. Because if I left them on a session like that, they won't eat at all because they don't have hunger cues. They've beat it out of themselves with the restriction. So I would say, like, for somebody with a severe eating disorder, if they're really committed to their recovery, a lot of times measuring food and counting calories is part of the recovery journey, sometimes for at least a year, sometimes longer, until their cues start coming back. And then once they're in a solid, stable place, we can start to experiment with deviating from the plan and practicing listening to the body and hunger cues and cravings, etc. But for most people who have been dieting severely for a long period of time, they don't know how to listen to their body. You have to show them how to.
Right. Well, and there's like refeeding syndrome and stuff. So if you just tell a patient who has anorexia nervosa, like who's been under eating like for a very long period of time, and you're like, oh, just trust your body and just eat. Yeah. If they end up eating too much too quickly, that's actually very dangerous.
Right. It could be fatal.
It could be fatal. So it's like, no, we actually need to be monitoring and making sure that these patients are are eating enough and like slowly, you know, healing from the inside out. And so, and it is interesting because obviously so many eating disorders are all about control. Like I wanted to have control over something. And so when you tell somebody with like a disordered eating or an eating disorder, like just trust your body and listen to it, and you give them zero control, that is
right. The eating disorder is in full control.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, we need to find some balance where we're still giving those, you know, people some control. And yeah, so
right. And I know most of the people listening to this episode right now is not in a situation like that where they need something so strict. But again, like I just shared it to illustrate the point, is that, you know, I know most people here don't need a severe, extreme calorie counting measurement plan where they have to be on top of their food like that. But we're taking a page out of the recovery playbook, right? And using it to provide some guidelines, some home base to start from. Because if you have nothing, if you have no bearings at all, then how are you ever going to learn how to get in touch with your body? You have to start with something. It's like, you know, you teach a child the alphabet so that they can one day make words. But they can't make words if they don't know their alphabet first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Whew, this is a doozy.
How long is it? Oh, almost 40 minutes.
I know. I'm like, I mean, if you guys want,
we can keep going.
I know.
I got another 2 hours.
I know, right? But I mean, I just hope that this landed with some people, and I hope that this validated some people who just feel like, oh, this is what I've been needing to hear. And I don't have to feel guilty about having goals, and I don't have to feel guilty about wanting to change things about my body. We are just here to say it is okay if you want that. And it's also important to make sure that you're doing it in a healthful and sustainable way, and that you're doing it in a way that really honors what your unique body needs, and you're not doing it for anybody else. Because I think that's where we run into a lot of issues.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we went into this profession to help people get out of the diet culture world, because extreme diets, 30-day challenges, cleanses, juice, whatever, those just keep you stuck in the cycle of sabotage and unhealthy, unsustainable habits. So, you know, Brooke and I are here to help people reach their goals in ways that are sustainable, that you can maintain for the rest of your life in a way that feels good for you. You don't have to pick an extreme. There is this wonderful area in between, and we can all find it.
Cheers to that middle ground.
Cheers to the middle ground.
All right, guys. See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Exercise is crucial for our overall mental and physical health, especially during pregnancy and postpartum. Something that has helped me stay really consistent with strength training and yoga at home during nap time is the Expecting and Empowered workout app. I love that I can choose how many weeks pregnant or postpartum I am, and the app tells me exactly what to do. Plus, there's cardio, yoga, and strength training options for new moms and moms-to-be. You can go ahead and click the link in the show notes to get 7 days free, and also save 15% off the annual option when you use promo code Nutrition for Mamas. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to the Postpartum Shift podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you could share this episode with a mom friend and leave a written review. This helps the podcast reach and help even more moms. Come say hi over on Instagram at Nutrition for Mamas.